finally breaking down Bitcoin testing a key macro area of support that we've been tracking on this YouTube channel. This is a multi-cycle support area, and I want to break that down in this video. I want to talk about Bitcoin, what happened with Bitcoin and crypto markets in general, and then ADA on the daily, a multi-month target essentially being hit. I think it is an incredibly good time for this to happen, and I want to break down the ADA chart. So hit the subscribe, hit the like. Let's jump into the video, everybody. This is crypto. This is everything that's happening right now, whether it's an ADA chart, whether it's a Bitcoin chart. This is so in line with what crypto does. And as I've been tracking this data on these YouTube videos over the years, this is exactly what we've been seeing every cycle. Now, I want to just obviously look at the technicals when it comes to these charts, but I want to start with something, and it actually kind of extends from what just transpired in the market. And I'm not going to read this entire thread, but there was this thread about the capitulation event, and I want to just make a note of something. Dr. Profit over here says, market makers have decided to take action in response to the ongoing Mt. Gox and German selling news. People have started selling. So if you're wondering what just happened, this is a really good kind of summation of that. And panic is rising. The box has been technically invalidated on the chart after lasting a year and providing great opportunity during the sideways period. I understand the panic as Bitcoin's down 25% from its peak. I can tell you that the FUD we are witnessing right now is special. The selling pressure is 100% artificial and mixed with the fear of retails. Most people are losing hope right now, which is exactly what market makers want to see and cause. And here is such a nice indicator. Fear at 26 right now in the fear and greed index. Let me explain why this is such a nice indicator. Going hand in hand with what I just read to you. Here's Bitcoin zoomed out. If we're anticipating a bull market post Bitcoin halving, I've done all the data. I've tracked all the data with you all. 500 plus days after Bitcoin halving last cycle was all-time high. 500 plus days the previous cycle was all-time high after Bitcoin halving. Right now, we're just like a couple months past Bitcoin halving. I've done all that. We've tracked all that. If there's going to be this pendulum swing to this high fear capitulation event, right now is almost the perfect time for this to happen. Look at previous cycles around this time in that cycle. Right here, we are at this ground floor area as far as bull cycles go. And this is an area that we wait years for. We wait years to get here. We wait through a bear market to get here. Just because we hit a bear market low, it's not time for parabolic all-time highs, crazy gains. Even still, it takes years to get to that bull market environment. And right now, setting the tone for this next bull cycle is this indicator, one of many. And I just think it is a really, really bullish thing. Now, in relation to technical analysis of it all, let's talk about it. I really want to just point out, and we'll look at Bitcoin on the daily chart in just a minute, but I really just want to talk about and point out the macro Fibonacci that has basically been tested. So last bull market high to bear market low. And now this time, this is a way more just aggressive move to this green area, this Fibonacci, higher low Fibonacci area. And and I say a more aggressive just because we had kind of this wick of this green candle back here to the upper end of the Fibonacci, but this is a way more just strong test of the support area. And that's important to me because maybe not so much last cycle. There's the bull market doors last cycle, that Fibonacci. Bitcoin just exploded through it. You can actually see there was a very quick test to the upper end in the week after it broke through. But as we really analyze and compare the data of the 2 cycles ago in 2017, here's a really nice test of those bull market doors back then. So Bitcoin broke through and then tested that area. Now here's, again, what just really stands out to me as I'm even just talking and doing this video. When that happened, Bitcoin was testing that area 252 days after the Bitcoin halving. Right now, Bitcoin is getting this high fear capitulation event. And right now, post Bitcoin halving, we're at 77 days. So again, to get some clarity on where we are in the cycle, we're 70 some days past Bitcoin halving. We were 250 days past Bitcoin halving, and things were just getting started then, right? And obviously, Bitcoin was looking really nice from bear market lows 2 cycles ago from 2015 to that area. Bitcoin was up 500+%, right? But that wasn't necessarily the bull market, the parabolic crazy gains. It wasn't altcoin season. This was just the beginning of all of that. And so we see what happened next. I say all the time, I could be wrong, because obviously I could be. And this is just my opinion, but this is just me taking data and watching the consistencies of these cycles, as you know, and seeing where we are and just saying, you know what, it's normal. Number one, it's normal. Could we go lower? Yes. But where we are right now is normal. And this is actually the most normal setup that we could have. This is probably the best possible setup that we could have. This fear and greed index is probably at the best possible area at this time of the cycle. What would you rather have? Would you rather have just high greed? It's overbought. It's just crazy, and we're barely above all-time high right now. No, a reset is just so good at this time of the cycle. And that is mainly what I wanted to talk about in the Bitcoin charts. This is Bitcoin on the daily chart. I will point out, if we look at the Bitcoin price right now from, this little area right here to this new swing low, you can just see that lower low. Well, we're getting a higher low on the Bitcoin RSI. We could have some potential bullish divergence happening on this daily chart finally, and this could indicate a reversal getting set up. I want to see how this plays out, right? We still have almost 8 hours left of the daily candle today. Let's see how this weekend plays out going into this new week. Bitcoin really needs to start making a move above the 200-day moving average, back out of the Fibonacci, but it could just trickle sideways or down even longer in this Fibonacci, but I'm very curious to see what happens in terms of support at this general area now that Bitcoin has really broken into the bull market door area, right? And that's where it is, this higher low bull market door area on the macro. Let's see how Bitcoin interacts. Let's see if Bitcoin can start escaping, bouncing off of this bullish divergence. Let's pivot over to ADA. On ADA on the monthly chart, I just want to point something out. I was sitting here, and this is just a little bit of a snapshot of my thoughts when I open up charts, and also why I like to dig into data and just really kind of get an understanding. It's kind of like if you really, and this is the frustration I see with ADA and altcoins in general, crypto in general, look at where ADA is, 36 cents or so, right? If you actually look back almost 2 years ago, I mean, we're looking here, let's just call it October, November, price around 36 cents, 2022, right? We're approaching, I mean, it's summer 2024. We're approaching the fall of 2024, almost 2 years, and ADA has done nothing. ADA is just still in this general area. It tried to bounce out of it all, and it pulled back in, and we're in the same general area for almost 2 years. That's frustrating. That's what is going on? But here's why I like to dig into the data and charts on all of these charts. Look last cycle, falling into the bear market, right? Basically, 2018 of September, ADA is at 9-10 cents. And then look at this. October 2020, so over 2 years later, ADA is still at 9 cents, 9-10 cents. How frustrating. 2 years. Nothing. It's a ghost chain, right? The whole thing. People don't have the patience to think about the macro. People don't have the patience to think about cycles. The Bitcoin halving right here. It's so frustrating at this moment, but this truly could be the launch pad. And I say that all the time, launch pad, we're just getting started. And that's just because after falling into bear markets, I look at this entire area as a launch pad. I look at this area before a parabolic altcoin season, if it happens, as a launch pad. And that's where my head is at. I'm always thinking on the macro, right? We look at 4-hour charts, 6-hour charts, daily charts. We have some fun with that to just kind of look at what could potentially happen in a breakout, but it's the macro that's important. And in terms of the cycles of ADA, just look at that. It's the same story. And people are frustrated in the same exact way that they were frustrated here, and they're frustrated here. And so I'm just sitting here watching on the macro, and I'm just patiently trying to wait and see how this cycle plays out, because right now, ADA is on pace. And so here's ADA on the weekly target hit. Basically, I mentioned, if we look at, I'm not going to show you a clip of this, but this is a video I did back in March 2024, March 23rd. We have this rising wedge we were tracking. We were in this video, I was talking about potentially maybe a breakout to the downside. Maybe it could be a fake breakout to the downside. We pull back in. We're speculating. ADA was 63 cents back then in March. Well, target all the way to the downside. Guess what? If we look at this chart, this has essentially, in my view, been hit, this target to the downside. The lower 30s is what it is, and you can just see it here on the daily charts, ADA hitting that target. Ugly move, but we're talking about that clip that I just showed you, or the snapshot of the clip was all the way back here, like the end of March 2024. And just look at the grueling process to get here. This is technical analysis. This is why I anticipate these things. I have these lines on the chart, not to predict, but just to say, this is possible. Sometimes I'll say, I don't think it's going to happen, but it's possible. And look, it happened. And ADA made its move strongly to the downside along with the rest of crypto. But just look at this. Right now, even on the weekly chart, and I mentioned this before in terms of ADA, and then we'll look at the daily chart zoomed in a little bit. But this move that happened right past Bitcoin halving to the downside, last cycle this time, we were making a move to the upside. We were getting into overbought territory around this time last cycle. And then we had to just live through all of this downside and still prepare, wait longer for the bull market. The fact that this early ADA is oversold, not overbought, and creating this kind of launchpad environment at this moment of the cycle, people are getting frustrated and impatient with ADA, but people should be like, man, this is awesome. We're like earlier than last cycle, if you really look at this, because it's just the way it is, right? Last cycle at Bitcoin halving right here, ADA making a really nice move to the upside. This time going into halving and beyond, ADA making a move to downside, getting oversold. And even on the daily chart now, as we look at this, check this out. Look at this move right there. That lower low move on ADA price. And right now we have, and actually I should say this, I shouldn't take it back there. This was the swing low back in April. Basically, very similar to what we just looked at on Bitcoin. This swing low here, consolidation. ADA was looking really nice. I mean, I was messing around with the 4-hour chart. It was looking really good on the 4-hour, actually. There was a very strong move setting up for ADA. And then we had this mass crypto capitulation event. Of course, ADA's getting a really nice setup, and that happens. This is like the story of ADA. But ADA fell to a new low, right? So lower low, very similar to Bitcoin. And right now, higher low on this chart. And we already saw from this swing low back in April to this swing low, right? Lower low right there. And then where is it? A little bit of a higher low right there on the RSI, if you can see that at the bottom screen. So this was a higher low from this swing low back here. There were some bullish divergence there. And now we have even shorter term bullish divergence on the daily, which is this swing low on price chart, and then a higher low on the RSI. So a lot of bullish divergence on the ADA charts as it hit basically its target to the downside on this daily chart. And this was this rising wedge all the way back here, a multi-month setup extending all the way back into 2023, right? The end of 2023. And so the setup for ADA is just very strong. But I think the lesson that we have when just zooming out on the charts is, whether it's Bitcoin or Cardano, things are just where they are and probably where they're supposed to be. And the setup for these charts could not be stronger. I've been getting so much negative comments about, Dan, you just say the same thing for years and years and years. And I guess it's true. I guess I do say the same things for years and years, right? Because we've been in almost 2 years of just kind of sideways for ADA. And I've been calling it a launch pad. And I say, this is just the beginning, because I'm a macro-minded person, and this is just the beginning. Just like this multi-year, 2-year event of sideways and just frustration, that was the launch pad. And I'm thinking macro-minded, right? Back then, and we see what happened. So this is a macro approach. That's mainly my approach, as we do dissect and get into the shorter term, right, to look for reversals. But for me, things are lining up really nice on the ADA charts and the Bitcoin charts. I say it time and time again. I could be wrong. Let's see what plays out with these things. for Bitcoin, I'm really curious to see if it can exit out of this higher low bull market door Fibonacci area, make a break above these moving averages. The first one to contend with right around 58,600 is a 200 in red. Let's see Bitcoin if it can get back above that area, but let's be patient. At least that's what I'm doing. So hit the subscribe, hit the like. I appreciate you cruising through. I'll see you in the next video. God bless.